Husband helped an injured girl get to hospital. 6 months later, while I'm pregnant, I found her messages getting creepier each day when he finally tried to distance himself. So, I'll start by saying I'm generally quite a secure person and have never felt like I had any issues around this until I read a message sent to my husband yesterday, and I'm kinda spiraling. Sorry this may be long. For some backstory, my husband does downhill biking. Has done since he was very young, knows his stuff, he's out there every day. Generally rides with the same group of guys, but they mostly stick to weekends. My husband goes out every day of the week, luckily, because his job allows him to. If he's out on his own, generally weekdays, and the dogs are free, he'll take the dogs. They love it. So around 6 months ago he was out in the morning, with the dogs, and ended up coming home earlier than usual. While he was out, he found this girl who fell off and had badly injured her arm/wrist. As you can imagine, he's done the same numerous times, knew exactly what to do and where to go to get seen quicker. He got her to the car park, packed the dogs and bikes up and took her to the GP, who referred her to hospital, and he came home. All good. Around a week after this, one of the guys he rides with sent him a screenshot of a post in a Facebook group that was made for people specifically who build and maintain the bike trails. It went something like, "I'm looking for someone called, insert husband's name here, who helped me last week when I fell and got me to hospital." He drove a husband's truck and had 3 dogs, then listed our dogs' names. She had posted in a few groups before being linked to the group for the trail builders, who my husband goes out there with. My husband isn't on social media, so he said he could send her his number. She texted him to double check she had the right person. He said it was, and that he was glad she was feeling better and he was happy to help. She offered him money or to take him for lunch, which he declined, and just said again that he was happy to help. They text back and forth every now and then, her initiating, and it's mostly, "Hey, how are you, hope you're well," etc. Until she starts getting better and can ride again, it turns to, "Hey, we should hit the trails sometime." Now, without tooting his horn for him, he's very good. Used to ride competitively when he was younger, same with much of the guys he rides with. Most people at the park know who they are, and generally if they hear them coming, will just get to the side and watch them pass. He tries to decline her offer in a way not to offend her, but there's no way she can keep up with them. There's a section that's just big jumps to practice on. He says maybe next time he's on those he'll give her a shout and they can meet up there. Eventually that happens and he gives her a few tips, which then turns into her texting him more often about biking, asking for him to tutor her and just general stuff. This goes on for the next couple months. There seems to be a friendship starting. I've never once had any concerns about this and was quite happy for him to continue, and they do. So yesterday, Monday, he went out with the dogs, and bumped into her. Said they spoke for a while and went a cycle with the dogs to wind down before he came home. She started texting him when he got home, and I can see these messages coming through the iPad as I was using it. To be clear, he's not hiding the texts, he openly leaves his phone lying around, no passcode. Lets our daughter play on it. Happy for me to use it. Doesn't get weird or secretive about it in the slightest. He knows the iPad and laptop are linked to his phone and it can all be seen by anyone using them. He has never gave me cause for concern. It's her intentions I'm not too sure on at this point. So anyway. The dogs. We have 3 working gun dogs used in the fields regularly, and while they can look like they're running riot down these trails, they are extremely well trained and tuned into whatever my husband is doing. Which becomes more apparent when he's not on the trails, and they're following, watching his every move. These texts started on about the dogs for a bit when she sent a text which ended in the following. Like a slave looking to please their master. Admittedly, I don't care for emojis and the texting garb people use nowadays. I don't even know what the face means, frankly. But something about this made me feel icky, and I feel like there's an undertone going on here. He replied, but seemed to ignore that last comment. However, this caused me to think/look back on her communication, and feel like I've noticed a few red flags. 1. She always initiates. 2. If she doesn't get a reply, she seems to keep sending messages until he replies. 3. Not once has she ever referenced or acknowledged the fact that he's married or has a family. Even when he mentioned that he's been away for my birthday, or that he's going to our daughter's dancing show. She'll change the subject as if she's pretending we don't exist, or to close down any mention of us. 4. She often makes excuses for them to meet up. One-on-one. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to scour through every message and feed into this more than I already have in case it's nothing. But am I crazy for thinking there may be something going on with her? I don't want to bring it up in case it is nothing and I look like I'm being paranoid. It just isn't sitting right. I'm also pregnant, and the hormones are doing their thing. Should I say something? Or leave it and monitor this more closely for a bit? Or is this the effect of a 30-something pregnant mom whose husband seems to be aging like a fine wine, and any female he meets doing what he loves, Being in amazing shape due to the hobby? Comments where Op has replied, usually right too, I'm kind of like your husband. I do a lot of helping people, in a different vein though. And there are a lot of rather lonely and awkward people out there who just keep messaging once they have my contact info, men and women. I think you've handled this with grace. But I think it's totally reasonable for you to have a convo with hubby and just say, dude, she's pretty pushy and you're not doing anything wrong, but I'd appreciate it if you'd shut her down and just tell her that you're not in a position to be a coach and your ride time is focused so you can't help her. She sounds a little starstruck and needy, but he's not doing anything wrong here, so I wouldn't make it a big hairy deal. Oop, thank you. I just don't want to be the pregger's wife who's demanding he blocks women because I'm making things up in my head. Lizer petty, he ran into her while he was out walking his dogs? Was that a planned meeting? Does she live near you? Aw hell nah. That's stalker behavior. He needs to cut her off now. Oop, no, the bike park. He was up with the dogs when she spotted them and called one over. Honestly, I have no idea where she lives. I know very little about her other than she's much younger than me. Inevitable_rate 9652, totally not on topic, but what are gun dogs? Sounds like your husband is just being nice, but that chic is being scandalous. Sometimes men don't pick up on this stuff, so I'd bring it to his attention and talk about how you both should handle this psycho disrespectful woman. Oop, hunting dogs, hours are used weekly for flushing/retrieving. Thank you. I've had enough comments to make me feel confident enough that I'm not being dramatic. We'll be talking to him about it once our daughter's in bed tonight and go from there. Update 1, it escalated quickly. So, my last post got a lot more responses than I thought it would get. I wasn't going to post an update, but feel like I owe it to all the people telling me to trust my gut. For those asking why my husband hadn't been more abrupt with her, in a nutshell, he always tries to keep the peace. I downplayed how well known he is in our town. He comes from a well-known family in our area, and was a downhill rider in the UCI, and features in various channels. People come here specifically for the bike trails, and typically wherever he goes, there's usually a handful of people who recognize him and want to say hello. It's not a huge town, everyone knows everyone kind of place, and, like anyone, he would never want people to come away from any interaction with him with a sour taste in their mouth. After our daughter was in bed, I spoke with my husband, told him my thoughts, and he agreed she was being inappropriate, and that he in no way done or said anything that would indicate he was alright with it. He hoped by ignoring it she would get the hint and leave him be. He didn't want to make things awkward or embarrass anyone and admitted he probably should have said something. So after reading everyone's comments, there were loads of amazing ways people suggested shutting her down, which in hindsight, would have been an amazing way to stop her in her tracks. However, he didn't want to ruffle feathers, so we went with we're starting to get ready for the baby and have lots to do/prepare and simply don't have the time or energy to be spent on the bikes, or meetups, and he will be unavailable to her for the foreseeable suggestions. He typed it up, handed it to me for my approval, and I hit send. Minutes later his phone pings, I'm in the kitchen, he's in the living room, and I see his eyebrows raise and he just looks at me. I go over and he just hands me the phone. The fucking neck on this girl astounds me. She replied, okay. Do you think we could meet up quickly tomorrow? My heart sank. And I knew exactly what that meant. I burst into tears. In my head this was the start of my world crumbling. My husband tried calming me down and asked me what I'd like him to do, block her there and then, or ask what she wants to see him for. I wish I'd just told him to block her, but for some reason I wanted to know more. He replied asking what meeting up would achieve. She just says there's stuff she would like to talk to him about face to face. I felt like I was literally being punched in the chest and being winded at this point. He eventually gets the point across that he is not going to meet with her and drags it out of her. She tells him that at some point feelings started, that turned into fantasies, and that basically he could do whatever he wanted to her. That I didn't need to know about it and she would be happy to keep it that way. As she put it, our thing, it was more graphic than I'm willing to type. I felt like I was still keeping a level head on it until this point. I lashed out, got very, very angry. Started crying uncontrollably. My body was vibrating with anger. I've barely slept. Woke up crying. Felt like absolute shit all day today. I've already got in touch with our friends who run these Facebook groups she joined and asked them to remove her and make sure she doesn't join again. My husband replied last night and told me it's sorted and I don't have to worry about her. I didn't see the text he sent, but it's there on the iPad, but I can't bring myself to even open the message app after seeing what I saw. It's not fair that someone thinks they can just do something like that regardless of how it's going to impact an entire family. Currently, I don't want him leaving the house. I don't want him to ever go back to the trails. I don't want the dogs even going up there. The fact she has even touched my dogs makes me sick. So there we are. I still feel like my life's slipping away from me. Like someone's trying to steal it. My confidence is shattered. My eyes sting. My head hurts from crying. Don't feel like eating. Don't think I've ever felt as low as I do just now. Husband's trying his best to comfort me, but it will take a while, I guess. He feels very guilty, despite me telling him he's done nothing wrong. I can't believe how quickly my life just changed with a stupid text. So, thank you to everyone telling me to believe my gut. And everyone else who took the time to comment. Edit, I just want to add, I'm not controlling my husband. I'm not holding him hostage. He had to take them out today. The bike park is almost in our back garden. I'm describing how I feel just now. Like it's a personal attack on me and my family. And I know this happens all over the world. My eyes were never open to it. This man's baby is about to burst out of my body. I don't feel attractive in any sense of the word right now. I feel I'm well within my rights to be a little distraught after seeing a text from a much younger, much fitter girl describing in graphic detail the things she wants my husband to do to her. Final update, hey everyone. My last 2 posts got so much attention and I'm still receiving lots of messages asking what's happened since and if I know what my husband told her. Anyway, an update. Before I log out of this account. So I had so many people telling me I'm crazy, overreacting, need therapy etc. I get it, I probably was overreacting, but also feel like some people just don't understand the places your head can go when you're heavily pregnant. I know what this girl looks like, and alongside my current self, had no idea why my husband would not take her up on her offer. I'd done nothing but compare myself to her and couldn't understand why he would stay with me if he was getting offers like that. Even despite my husband making me feel very loved and attractive every day, I convinced myself he found me repulsive. And that he would leave me. Madness, I know. But I also had moments of clarity. It's been an emotional few weeks as it is. Did you read the text your husband sent to her? No, I haven't. I ended up deleting the chat from the iPad because I didn't want to see her messages. He told me something along the lines of, I've no idea how or if I've gave you the signal that I was looking for something like that, but I can assure you I'm not and I don't appreciate the attempt to pull my family apart. Delete my number, don't try to contact me, do not try and talk to me if you see me out and about. You've caused a great amount of stress to my family and especially my wife, who is expecting very soon, and has access to every message you've sent to me. Leave me alone. Lots of people also commented that I've handled this way better than they would have. Truth be told, I'm constantly seesawing between trying to forget this even happened, and texting or calling her myself. But I realize the longer I leave it to do this, the more pathetic I'll look. Trying to take the high road. But I'm not going to lie, this has been extremely hard. I also want to focus on the baby and not this right now. All in though I feel much better than I did a few days ago. One thing I've taken from this, and far too many people reached out to me to say the same, is how amazing my husband really is. I feel like I've taken him for granted after reading some stories people have shared privately, and I'm so lucky to share my life with him. So that's it. I didn't plan on making an update again, but I've still been getting so many messages asking the same things. But this will be the last. Thanks for all the responses, and the few crazies also sending me horrible messages. I know you're reading this. Take care. Next story, cousin only eats when I feed her. But when she made a mess at my brother's party, my aunt blamed me. Found out she barely let her daughter leave the house and my mom had enough. I want to start by saying that I absolutely love my baby cousin, Lily. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and I see her as more of a little sister than a cousin. But during a recent family gathering, things got a little tense, and I'm left wondering if I handled the situation poorly. I'm 24, female, and part of a large, joint family with grandparents, aunts, uncles, and plenty of cousins. Since I work in another state, I only see everyone during holidays or special events. Being the oldest of my generation, I've always been close to my younger cousins, especially Lily, who's just 4 years old. We have a 2-decade age gap, but I adore her and babysit whenever I can. She's very attached to me and even sees my mom as a second mother. Recently, I attended my younger brother's birthday party, a rare chance to relax and catch up with family after a stressful year. Lily was there, of course, and as the youngest cousin, she didn't have any playmates her age. Naturally, she gravitated toward me. She kept pulling me away from the table to join her games, and I happily played with her for a while. When it was time for dinner, I even fed her because she refuses to eat unless it's from her mom, my mom, or me. After making sure she was settled, I handed her off to my grandma so I could grab a plate of food and enjoy the meal. I honestly thought she'd nap or play outside in the garden. But when I came back, I found chaos. Lily had pulled at the tablecloth, spilling several dishes and creating a huge mess. She was crying because my aunt, her mother, had started scolding her, and the whole scene had become a disaster. Later, My aunt came up to me and, in a very pointed tone, said I should have kept an eye on Lily. She implied that the mess was my fault, essentially blaming me for not watching her. I was so shocked that I didn't know how to respond at first. But then I told her, as calmly as I could, that Lily is not my responsibility. She is her mother, and it's ultimately her job to look after her. My aunt stormed off after that, and now my family group chats and calls are blowing up. My mom and grandparents are getting complaints about how disrespectful I was for speaking to my aunt that way. I didn't mean to cause any drama, but I genuinely feel like I did nothing wrong. I love Lily and always try to help out when I can, but I was hoping to enjoy this one event without being on babysitting duty the entire time. So now I'm wondering, Ida for standing up for myself? Or should I have handled things differently? Comments where Op has replied, Commenter 1. NTA, you are 100% correct, Lily is not your responsibility. You handled it perfectly reasonably. Her mother is under no illusion that she can blame you for her poor parenting. For anyone saying you should be looking after Lily, tell them that the next gathering you are delegating that responsibility to them. At the gathering remind the person, and everyone else, that they volunteered to watch Lily. Oop, I wish I could say that in my group chats without everyone aiming for my head. Right now there are mostly neutral responses. A few say that I need to just apologize for my rude tone and smooth things over. My mom and grandparents are on my side completely. My aunt is mom's cousin, but they were brought up like sisters, so my mom is also getting messages from her. All I'm gonna say is, I've never been so motivated to go back to work. Commenter 2, do not apologize to anyone. This will give them the idea they were right and you should have been watching her daughter. NTA. I would also decline any invitations in the future where they will be attending. Maybe they can latch on to another family babysitter. Oop, my mom also told me not to apologize to my aunt. But I don't want to start a family war by saying that I wouldn't attend any future events. I'm the oldest, as I have said, and in my culture it comes with a shit ton of responsibilities. Don't get me wrong, I had a good childhood. I love all my extended families even if there are occasional hiccups. But this is the first time my aunt, a second mom growing up, has blown up on me about anything. My mom wouldn't allow anyone to talk to me that way at all. No one. So, maybe she is showing her true colors now? I sure hope not. I hope this is just stress or something. I know it's wishful thinking. But I only come back home when I'm free from work. I don't want my safe harbor to be ruined because of this. Update, November 26, 2024. Hey, everyone. Thanks for all the advice and support. I'm back in my city now, and things have finally calmed down after what felt like endless family drama. I'll start work tomorrow, so I thought I'd share an update on how everything unfolded. As I mentioned, my aunt had been calling and leaving messages nonstop after the incident. My mom, who is absolutely my superhero, told me to stand my ground and not give in to the pressure. She even stepped in to handle things herself. On Sunday, she went to my aunt's house and, according to my cousin Carl, fake name, tore her a new one. Apparently, my mom didn't hold back. She called out my aunt's behavior, her deadbeat husband, and her overly controlling parenting style. It turns out, my aunt has been clashing with pretty much everyone in the family, collecting grudges like Pokemon cards. I hadn't realized how bad things had gotten since I've been away for work. Here's some context I learned later. Lily had a few health scares as a baby, which led my aunt to become a full-blown helicopter mom. She barely lets Lily out of the house unless it's to visit our family. Even her preschool is run by my uncle, aunt's brother, and my aunt pulls her out of school whenever she feels like it. According to Carl, Lily is lucky to have some freedom when she stays at our house, which explains why she's so attached to me and my mom. While my mom was handling my aunt, I had a beach day with my brother. It was just the two of us, and we had the best time eating ice cream and building sandcastles. It felt nostalgic, like revisiting our childhood memories of living by the coast. It also made up for not celebrating his birthday properly due to all the chaos. Monday was a relaxed day at home with my cousins. My grandma even brought Lily over so I could say goodbye before heading back. Getting her out of my aunt's house was apparently a battle in itself, but I'm so grateful I got to spend a few hours with her. She's such a joy, and I'll miss her terribly. Now, for the funny bit, Carl called me shortly after I posted my original story. His exact words? Breaking out of the prison, are we? Right behind you, sis. He's been cracking jokes about the whole situation ever since, which has definitely lightened the mood. As for my aunt, she's still trying to stir up drama, but most of the family is on my side. Once the truth came out, it became clear that her accusations about me neglecting Lily were ridiculous. Everyone knows how much I adore Lily, and I've always been there for her when I could. After reading all the comments and advice, I've decided not to apologize. I would have considered it just to keep the peace, but she's blown this so far out of proportion that it's not worth it. My mom has told her to stop acting like a child and quit spamming the family group chats. Her words, not mine. At this point, I'm putting the drama behind me. Almost everyone in the family has reassured me that I did nothing wrong, so I'm moving forward with a clear conscience. Thank you again to everyone who helped me see this situation clearly. I truly appreciate it.